Irresistible offers. There are, and we've talked about this quite a few times. Those of you who are in the lab, this should not be new information to you. In fact, it's probably going to be a nice refresher to kind of go back through this stuff and go, oh yeah, I remember Lise saying this over and over again. So if it feels like you know this stuff, it's because I've talked about this a lot. But this is really making sure that you understand what your audience wants and that you're creating offers that they believe they want, right? Really specifically focusing on that, and then making sure that you bake in what they need, what you know they need. And this is a really hard balancing act to kind of walk. It's a line that I walk all the time, and I don't always get it right. And this is the other part of it. Your audience might tell you what they want, but they don't always know what they want either. So it's more about you getting to understand your audience and just learning more and more about them so that you can clearly articulate to them what the end result is that they're getting, and that you're always excited to deliver the content that you're offering them, and that you're clearly outlining what someone is getting inside each offer, and that you do this. Never, and I repeat this, never create an offer without pre-selling it. You run the risk of putting all your effort into something that your audience just doesn't believe they need, right? That they're just not connected with. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but if you haven't yet, I have an entire training called Get Paid to Create that specifically walks you through the process of pre-selling. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But let's dive in. Make sure you've got your pen and notebooks handy. And before you do any of this, right, make sure that you have these pieces in place to set yourself up for success, because whatever offer you're doing, at some point you're going to create some type of sales process, sales funnel, flywheel, whatever you want to call it. So that starts with having a lead magnet that people actually want. And it could even be something that you have used as a paid offer in the past. I've done this lots of times where I've used that to kind of do that. I would say Tripwire. No, I would say you should pre-sell anything that you're planning to offer. All right, that's kind of how that works. However, at the end of the day, it's always your decision, right? Like if you're just like, and at the end of the day, actually your Tripwire will tell you whether people want it or not. I still don't necessarily create my Tripwire the first time I put it in front of people. But I can create things really quickly because I've been in business for 10 years. So I would say with any offer, you want to pre-sell it. It will make your life so much easier if people are telling you they actually want it. And your Tripwire will be more successful if it's something that you've already pre-sold. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through this. So you need a lead magnet. You need obviously a way to capture those email addresses. You need to have your first 2 to 3 newsletters scheduled out if you haven't done that already. And you can't come up with the excuse of not having newsletters because you have access to newsletter prompts. If you haven't grabbed it, if you just go into Teachable, click on all courses, you'll see the newsletter prompts are there. They're free. You can just go grab them. A way to capture payments and a way to deliver your offer that's easy for you and your audience, right? Like that, it's a kind of a no-brainer. I personally use Teachable predominantly for everything. Because that's easy for me and it's easy for people once they sign in. I'm not sure what you're saying, Anya, about they do not want to receive it if they buy it. I'm not sure what that means. You're talking about the Tripwire. Yeah, so I'm saying that I would not make something a Tripwire unless I've pre-sold it previously as an individual thing on its own. Yeah. And then just a reminder here, guys, to make sure that you're always looking at your numbers. I can't emphasize this enough. If you're not looking at your numbers every month, how are you ever going to know how much money you're making, where your gaps are, right? It's always going to be within these 4 areas, right? So I've just reminded you that you have access to the income projection calculator. It helps you figure these pieces out. You can use it in one of 2 ways. You can use it for every individual offer, or you can try and do it based on the income goal that you're trying to meet. So if you've gone through and seen how I lay out a month in terms of planning my launches, you could do it in that same way. You could go, okay, I have all these things planned. The total sum of those come to this amount. Then you can work it out from there. That makes more sense when you see it in the calculator. I'm just seeing lots of questions coming through. So yeah, so Anya, when I'm pre-selling, I'm very upfront about the fact that this is not created. So I'm not saying anything about the fact that you're not being dishonest. Never, ever, ever do that. I'm saying you are going to say to people, hey, I've got an idea for this. Are you interested in it? It's going to be this price. It's going to be available in 7 days' time, 2 weeks' time, whatever date that is, right? That's what that looks like. And like I said, this is fully outlined in the Get Paid to Create training where I walk through that entire process. Yeah, so I think, Anya, with the calculator, just do it based on what you want to do. So let's say we're going to launch a $27 offer. You put that in there, and then that's going to tell you how many email subscribers you would need. So that's what I'm saying. You use the income projection calculator to identify gaps, and then you start to use it to help you predict your income. That's what it's for. It helps you figure these pieces out. So most people are going to need an audience. That's where most people's gaps are going to be in the beginning, is they need to grow their audience in order to sell offers. At the end of the day, it's really hard to know for certain how much you're going to make until you've actually launched something, and then you've got data. And then you can go back to the calculator and input your own data, right? Like that calculator is just a starting point until you've got data. And what I mean by that is you have your own email open rates. You know what that looks like. You know what your sales page conversions look like. Then the data starts to become more and more geared towards what works for you in your business. So I'm putting these pieces here to remind you that you need to have these pieces in place. These are like the foundational pieces for any online business. It doesn't matter what you're offering, these pieces all need to be in place. And I mean, lead magnet, your landing page, welcome sequence, newsletter, a way to capture payments, and a way to deliver your offers easily. I do lots of different things, but 9 times out of 10, I'm putting stuff in Teachable because it's easy. It's easy. It connects. Teachable connects directly into ConvertKit. There are a couple of idiosyncrasies with needing one payment to go through for it to reflect in ConvertKit, but there's always ways around. You can trigger a sale by you enrolling into it with a free coupon. Again, something completely outside of this training, but sometimes it comes up.